Jesus was a gentle and compassionate leader. He was truly one with his people. Servant leadership is the ability to follow Christ's example of humbleness while offering directions and change within group communications.
This is Seth Pierce posting for group work in COM628, and I thought of Francis Chan. And Francis Chan pastored a megachurch that he left several years ago because he felt that he was hearing his name more than Jesus, that he was becoming a celebrity, and that he really wasn't fulfilling the Great Commission, serving people like he wanted. What was really interesting is after Chan left his church, of course, it created this big uproar, and several notable pastors interviewed him, including Mark Driscoll, who was a notable pastor here in the Seattle area where I live. And one of the things that Mark challenged him on is he said, "It sounds like you are just participating in a poverty gospel, sort of the opposite of a prosperity gospel. You know, you think you have to be poor and miserable and self-sacrificing in order to be holy," and he sort of gave him a hard time. The irony is, a few years later, Mark Driscoll was ousted and resigned from his church here in Seattle, Mars Hill, with the Acts 29 church planting movement. And the reason he was protested and ousted is because of his authoritarian, controlling, domineering leadership style.
But I get to use this opportunity to share with you not only an amazing Christian, but amazing Christian servant leader in today's world, Miss Shailene Bryan and Skip One. Who we are as Christians is to reflect God's humility and his selflessness, and that's what servant leaders like Shailene Bryan do. Another factor that makes them a servant leader is their motivation. The why they want to lead is different than a traditional leader. It's to serve and develop others. How they lead is also different, as well as the effects that they have on those that they're leading. And finally, they reflect God's integrity, God's authenticity. It's how others see them. It's their character, and it's our character as Christians. And so Shailene Bryan is an amazing representation of this.
Servant leadership is a biblical perspective on leadership. The theory that I wanted to tie this into was Little John Foss and Etzel talk about Irving Goffman's theatrical metaphor on the presentation of self, explaining how communicator presents the self and people as actors using performance to make an impression on an audience. In servant leadership, a person's position is not focused on self, but it's one that seeks a meaningful, genuine connections, thereby facilitating collaboration with the audience. So there's an exchange, there's a healthy dialogue and exchange.
Servant leadership is the blend of extreme personal humility with intense professional will. An individual who has and is currently demonstrating servant leadership is Rocky Zito, former assistant coach for defense of the Seattle Seahawks. Zito had coached for 9 seasons for USC before coaching for 7 seasons with the Seahawks. He was able to draw comparisons between his 2 very different careers, stating God had raised him to lead and to develop leaders who love Jesus and give them what they need. As a coach, he had counseled football players who approached him about life's issues, but now he is ministering to a much larger crowd. He referenced Christ's declaration in the New Testament that Jesus did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as ransom.
There are many Christian CEOs that are using servant leadership, and their organizations are quite successful. Chick-fil-A has always been a family-owned business, and CEO Dan Cathy leads with family values. Hobby Lobby founder David Green understands that with their business, the customer service is always a priority. Both of these businesses close on Sunday, so employees can be with their families, yet their revenue is stronger than competitors that are open 7 days a week. Instead of making decisions for financial gain, they lead with what's best for the customers and for their employees. New corporations such as Michael Scott's PureFlix are operating strong following this same model. These successes show that in corporate America, you can still use servant leadership. Servant leadership is for all walks of life, whether you're a religious leader, an entertainer, politician, famous athlete, business leader. Everybody could try servant leadership.